Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Devi and you are watching Just Devi Marie. So today I'm going to be sharing with you how to travel to the United States as a resident of Jamaica. So if you guys want to hear the process and the procedure, please stay tuned. So before we get into the video, I want to remind you guys to subscribe if you haven't. Also remember to like this video. The likes really do help my content to get pushed out on YouTube a lot more. So if you're enjoying the content, just go ahead and give me a like. Also remember to check out the previous video on my channel. I do have another channel also called Yardments, which I'd love for you guys to go check out as well. And if you're watching today's episode of Just Devi Marie, I want you guys to leave an airplane in the comments just to let me know that you're chilling and you're rocking with me throughout this video. Alright, so let's get right into the video. I know that for me personally, there is not really a lot of information I realize about what the process and the procedure is to travel as a Jamaican resident, somebody living in Jamaica, to the United States. And I know there's a lot of information out there in terms of for tourists, so people who are not from here, people who are not locals. There's a lot of information out there about what to do in terms of that. And so I thought I would just share from my perspective as a Jamaican what it was like and what it is like. So this is really just a how-to video. I did travel in 2020, which was several months ago, and you know, I'm gonna be sharing my experience there. And also since 2021, I believe a lot of things have changed, and you know, with this virus a lot of things are going to continuously change. So what I would suggest you guys do is, before you guys travel anywhere, I would suggest that you guys check with your airline, the airline that you'll be flying with, for the rules and the policies of the country that you will be leaving from and the country that you'll be going to, so that you're not in any problems. Also, as a Jamaican, I would say call the Jamaica Tourist Board too. They usually have a wealth of knowledge and information and up-to-date information too on what the policy and the procedure is for various places that you want to travel to. I travel to the US, so that would be the point of view that I'll be sharing from. So firstly, obviously, anybody know that to travel to the US as a Jamaican national resident, you have to have a United States visa. So this is for people who already have a visa. This is not a video about the process to get a visa or what's happening at the embassy. This is just for persons who have a visa or would have traveled to the United States before. So as it stands right now, this is February 2021. All persons who are traveling to the United States, whether you are a resident of Jamaica or whether you are a resident of the United States, anybody at all, they have to have a negative COVID test. Now they do accept the PCR test and also the antigen test. There are a couple other tests that are listed on the CDC's website in terms of what is accepted. But for right now, I know that in Jamaica, there basically are mainly two types of tests that you can do. The PCR test, which is a little bit more expensive, and the antigen test, which is like you get results in like 30 minutes or less depending. The PCR test does take a little bit longer. I have never taken the PCR test before, so I don't know like what the difference is, but as I said, the antigen test and the PCR test are both acceptable for travel. So you definitely need to have a negative COVID test before you fly. Now they say on the CDC's website that the negative COVID test has to be taken 3 days before your flight. I say 3 days and not 72 hours. So when I say 3 days, I mean, okay, so say for instance you did a COVID test on Monday, for instance, you have up until Thursday to actually fly. So they did that in order to give travelers a little bit more flexibility in terms of, you know, testing and getting yourself together to travel. So you can basically travel. The last day that you can actually travel if you took a test on Monday is Thursday. So basically 3 days before Thursday would be Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. So those would be your 3 days. So the day of travel is not necessarily counted. It's 3 days before travel is a maximum, right? So yeah, that's what I would suggest you doing. Now, because I actually traveled in 2020, I don't think it was until January 2021 that they actually started putting in place that measure, meaning that you have to come to the United States with a negative COVID test. So I did not have to do a COVID test when I traveled in 2020. But based on what is happening now, you are not even gonna be allowed to check in to your flight if you don't have that negative COVID test. And I believe what they give you is like probably like a paper, I believe, and it basically says whether COVID was detected, yes or no, or it says whether you're positive or negative. So you will need to take along that when you are actually departing. I do know that at NMIA, that's Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston, they do have a testing center there. So if you would like to chance it and take your test there, you can do that. And the different labs are listed on the Ministry of Health's page, and you can also call the Jamaica Tourist Board to find out which labs are actually authorized to do the testing and stuff like that. So if you're in Jamaica, you probably already know that you have to wear masks wherever you go, to go into business places, to go to work, etc. So masks are already mandated in Jamaica, and it's no different when you'll be traveling. So in order to even get inside the airport check-in area, you will have to have your mask on, and you will have to have on your mask for the entire duration until you reach wherever you're going. When I say reach where you're going, I mean if you're staying in a hotel and it's you alone in there, you can take it off. So you will have to have it on during the duration of the flight. When you are overseas in the customs and immigration area, baggage area, all of that, you will need to have it on. If you are taking public transportation over there, like if you get in a cab or a taxi, you will have to wear it. And I would recommend too that even if you're being picked up by a friend or family, that you wear it too, because even though you go up with a negative test, right, as it stands now, you still never know. You know, a lot of people who say they have contracted it, a lot of them don't even know how they have contracted it. Even the most careful of persons do contract it. So I would just say try to wear your mask as much as possible, regardless of if the person who you're staying with or whatever is closest family. You're just trying to protect yourself, but also them too. So I would say wear your mask everywhere that you go. Also in the plane, even though this social distancing is a protocol that is probably globally, or is supposed to be globally practiced, they will seat you beside people. So it's not a case where on your flight you will have like only the end seat and the window seat and the aisle seat being occupied. They will fill out the entire row, which is why, I mean, wear your mask, sanitize if you can bring wipes and those things to probably wipe down the armrest and stuff like that. Even though the airline does say that they, I guess, you know, they try their best to do sanitization, but I mean, you can do what you want to do, you know, it's up to you. But yes, you will be seated close beside somebody, but there's also the option if your flight is not full and you would like to move just as if, you know, it was a regular time before COVID, you can ask the flight attendant if you can be seated elsewhere, and if there is space, they will allow that because they do understand what is happening. In terms of in-flight, they do not serve any snacks. So say for instance you're doing a little short trip, like maybe from Jamaica to like Miami or something like that, and you know, if you've been on that kind of flight, that they actually do give you like a snack and a drink. They are not doing those things. You can request water or juice, but they're not giving you like the little snack back. They're not doing that anymore, I guess, you know, to protect persons. They're not doing that anymore, so there's no food at all. You can bring your food, and you can remove your mask to eat, but once you have finished eating, you need to put back on your mask. You have to put it back on, and the flight attendants will definitely ensure that you guys are enforcing that. So yeah, I mean, if you don't want to eat, or if you can eat before to prevent you having to remove a mask on a flight, you can do that. It's up to you, but there's no food that will be served on the flight. I wanted to also mention too that different states in the United States have policies and procedures in terms of your quarantine. I know that a lot of people have been saying different things, that when you go over there you have to quarantine for X amount of time and do this and retest and stuff like that, but you have to check based on the state that you're going to what the rules are. And what I would tell you to do is you can type in Google CDC travel planner, it will take you to the CDC's website, and the CDC is the Center for Disease Control, I believe that's what it is. I'll put the link to their website in the description so you guys can find all the information too. But what I would suggest you do is click that. It will basically ask you when you're traveling or when you plan to travel, it will ask you where, which state and which city, I believe, and then when you have entered all of that, it will basically generate what the rules are at that time for that state. So I know, for instance, Florida doesn't have any quarantine orders or any testing orders at this time, but if you were to put in a state like New York, I believe that there's a quarantine period, and there is also, after that quarantine period, a period where they will retest you just to ensure that you wouldn't have contracted the virus between the last time that you took a test to come to the United States and since being there. So different states have different policies and procedures, so definitely check the website's travel planner to ensure that the state that you want to visit, you know, you are well aware of what will be required of you. To me, it doesn't make sense you travel to somewhere and these are the rules and you don't want to follow them. We all know about the story of the young lady who, you know, said some very mischievous things and caused quite an uproar. She shall remain nameless, but all I'm saying is, if you want to go and travel there, if it is essential for you to travel, whether for work or whatever it is, because things happen and you have to travel, just try your best to follow the rules that they set out. Make sure you're well aware of the rules too, so that when you go there, you're not caught off guard and you don't create a scene like some people. I wanted to talk about what you do when you are coming back to Jamaica from the United States. So the government actually put in place something called a travel authorization, which is basically a questionnaire that travelers, both residents and non-residents, so everybody who is planning to come to Jamaica has to complete before actually boarding the flight. So what that basically has on it is all your information, your name, your passport information, where you'll be staying, when you come to Jamaica, if there will be a place for you to quarantine, how many bathrooms, is there a separate bedroom that you can stay in. It asks you, a lot of questions, but it's really simple, yes or no questions. It's not anything difficult. And you basically, after you have completed all of that, they determine whether you're a high risk or low risk, and from there you get a traveler's authorization. It's not anything hard, it's a simple form that you have to fill out, and it usually doesn't take any time for you to get it back. You probably get it back within an hour to half an hour, I guess, just depending, but it doesn't, from my experience, it doesn't take long for you to get it. So as soon as you get your confirmation in your email that you have submitted the information, you usually get back the travel authorization. And I would suggest downloading it to your phone or taking a screenshot of it and then keeping it somewhere close in your phone, so that when you do check in to come back to Jamaica, you can show that you have it on hand to show the person checking you in, because again, they do in the United States have to check for that traveler's authorization as a Jamaican resident, or else you will not be permitted to board that flight. They will not be able to check you in, so you have to have that traveler's authorization. The good thing that I would say is that, even for instance, if you didn't know that you had to have a traveler's authorization to come to Jamaica, because it comes back in such quick time, I mean, you can even do it the day that you're leaving. The rule is that you cannot do it more than 5 days before you travel, before you travel. So it has to be within a 5-day window. So say for instance you're just going up for 3 days, you could even do the traveler's authorization the day that you're leaving, or maybe the day before you're leaving to come to the United States. So it's not something that you have to present when going to the US, but when you're coming back to Jamaica, you definitely have to present that image with, it actually has a barcode on it, that image that shows that you are cleared and you're authorized to travel to Jamaica. So yeah, that's something that you have to do. Another thing that a lot of people I find seem to get confused with is the COVID-19 test to come back to Jamaica. Now, as it stands, Jamaican residents, so you live in Jamaica, you're not from any other country, so Jamaican residents do not need a COVID-19 test to come back to Jamaica. Now listen to me, remember that these rules are always changing, but as at now, February 2021, residents, people who live in Jamaica, do not need a COVID-19 negative test to come back to Jamaica, right? Persons who are from other countries, I believe, they do need a negative COVID test, but if you are a resident, they cannot stop you from coming home because you don't have a negative COVID test. but persons who are coming to visit or what have you, they have to have one. And this is what the Jamaica Tourist Board has said. Now, because things are always changing, as I said, before you fly, call your airline and find out what the rules are as it relates to testing and quarantining and authorization. Find out the rules, and if that's not enough for you, or you want maybe some backative to confirm what the airline has said, call the Jamaica Tourist Board and find out what the rule is for residents. Because when you call them, they will first of all ask you, are you a resident, are you a visitor, what's your purpose for going or for traveling, so they can give you the most up-to-date and relevant information for you. So as it stands now, you do not, as a Jamaican resident, need a COVID-19 test to come back to Jamaica. All you need is your travel authorization. Now, when you check in on everything, they see your travel authorization. When you land in Jamaica, you will more than likely have to download the Jam COVID-19 app. You can also download the app before you come, so you can actually do your traveler's authorization on the COVID-19 app, or you can go on Jamaica's Visit Jamaica website, which is the website of the Jamaica Tourist Board. You can go on that and fill out the traveler's authorization, or you can do it in the app. The app may be easier just because you can do it on your phone, and it may be easier because you can just have your phone in your hand, for instance, rather than being on a desktop or a laptop or what have you. Once you reach the airport, well, this was my experience when I traveled last year in 2020. They basically line you up and separate you based on flight. So it actually took me quite a while to get through the whole process at the airport, because they had the soldiers there who were basically ensuring that everybody downloaded the app. You have to basically upload a video that says that that says where you are, the date, your name, and you have to state whether or not you're having symptoms of COVID-19, and you basically upload that to the app. They do take a temperature, they do take your information, your name and all of that, and tell you, document what flight you came on, just so that just in case of anything, they're able to trace where you may have been, which flight you may have been on, and so on and so forth. So especially if it's a busy day when a lot of persons are coming in, that can take you a long time. So after the soldiers walk you through the whole process, you are supposed to actually check in each step of the way. The app will actually remind you to check in, and checking in is really doing that same video to say your name, where you are located, if you're having any symptoms of COVID-19, and the date. So you will have to do that during the 14, actually I believe that it's actually 16 days. I think they might add on actually 2 more days just to be safe, because it does tell you in the app when your quarantine period is over. So I think they either add on 1 or 2 days to the quarantine. So when you come to Jamaica, you do have to quarantine. It's a mandated quarantine. You have to quarantine, and you have to have your location on your phone so that app can function properly. And after you do that, you will then go into an interview process with like some medical persons who I believe are hired by the Ministry of Health and Wellness here in Jamaica, and they basically reconfirm everything that you would have submitted in your travel authorization. They ask if you have come in contact with anybody, just a quick few questions, and then they also give you information as to where the nearest clinic or health center in your location where you'll be staying, where it is, just in case you start showing signs or feeling ill, you can report there. So yeah, then after that you go through your customs and your immigration and you're out. So that's basically the process and the procedure. I hope I didn't leave out anything. Of course, if you guys have any questions, you can ask and I can try to answer them as best as possible. I'm going to leave the Visit Jamaica website in the comments, in the description. I'm going to leave the Visit Jamaica website in the description below so that you can click that too and get information. Their contact numbers will be there. You can call, you can email them and find out what you need to. And I'm going to also leave the CDC's website and the CDC's travel planner in the description so that you guys will be able to check it out, read up some more if you'd like to. So I want to thank you guys again for watching another episode of Just Debbie Marie. Want to remind you guys to subscribe again, give this video a like if you reached this far. Remember to leave the airplane in the comments to let me know that you're watching. Check out the previous videos on my channel and also my other channel called Yardmans. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.